Welcome to Season 2 and the 10th episode of Timely Topics. I'm your host, Rory and I'm excited to be joined by my very cool co-host, Jen Matthew.
And by cool, you mean your freezing cold co-host.
That's right. Our theme for this episode is passion, so hopefully we'll warm things up a little bit. Jen and I will dive into the topic of passion, where it comes from, and how important it is when it comes to your professional pursuits and business engagements. Also, it is the first episode of Season 2, so we'll be discussing some of the exciting content coming your way this season, along with some changes that we're making to provide even more content to our listeners. But Jen, one thing that isn't going away is our good idea, bad idea segment, which I'm taking control of this week. So be sure to listen to the end where Jen and I will debate the merits of our mystery topic this month. You ready?
I'm so ready. Let's do this.
Let's go. Welcome to the Timely Topics Show, where we're bringing you all of the buzz and banter of today's business conversations. Straight from our studios in downtown Hartford, with your hosts, Rory McGloin and Jennifer Matthew. Jen, we're back. It's Season 2, Episode 10, right? We've survived the holidays and the new year. I'm excited to be back in the studio with the team.
I'm so excited, but Happy New Year.
Well, thanks very much. But Jen, here's the question, right? It's the end of January. By the time this comes out, it'll be after Valentine's Day. What is the threshold on how long we say Happy New Year?
This is such a debate and everyone gives me a really hard time. And I found myself now saying, I'm sorry, but Happy New Year. Like I find myself apologizing because I need to just let everyone know that I understand their sensitivity around it. But I'm going to keep this going for a while.
Yeah, I think we should see how long we can roll it into, right? May, June, right? If you haven't seen somebody, you just feel compelled to say, I hope you have a great year.
Yeah.
Right? It just feels good to wish people a Happy New Year. But it is funny because like at what point do we just go, have whatever kind of year you want. You mentioned that you were cold. It's been a relatively cold winter, but luckily not a ton of snow. If you're not a snow lover, then that's good. If you're a snow lover, we apologize. However, we both had some time in some sunny spots. Where did you go?
So I went to Florida in between Christmas and New Year's, and I think that being in the warm weather has actually made me colder when I got back. And I know you always go down somewhere warm during this time of year, every year. And you're used to coming back, and I think maybe for you it refuels you. But for me, I think I said when I got back, I'm like, is it always this cold in Connecticut?
It gives me hope. The reason I go is to have hope that there is literally light and sunshine.
And get some vitamin D in the middle of the winter.
Let's talk for a second, because our listeners may or may not know that. You didn't just go to Florida, Jen.
Oh, yeah.
You went to Disney.
I know. And everyone is confused by that because I don't have kids. So everyone's like, what are you doing in Disney World? But I have a niece who's 4, and we did a family trip down. It was so much fun to see Disney through the eyes of a 4-year-old. It was incredible. I haven't been since I was a kid. My family used to go during February vacation quite frequently. And being there as a child, it is, I don't even have the words for it. It's just overwhelming. There's just so many things happening. Being there as an adult feels the same way, but in a multitude of other reasons. Have you been to Disney as an adult?
I have. I went down for a conference one time, and ironically for me, it was the first time I had ever been to Disney. So I showed up to Disney first time as an adult.
Yeah.
My mind was blown. I really couldn't kind of figure the whole thing out. Luckily, we did go down with Mairead. She was like 4 or 5, and we got to do the Cinderella Princess dinner, and I got to see it through a lens. And a huge shout out, not just to like the Disneys of the world, but like any businesses that cater to creating magic for young people. I always walked away from those experiences being reinvigorated with imagination and creativity, and being able to take a step out of my own life and experience like what it's like to look at the world and see it as brand new again. And I'll never forget, I got to tell a story. We went to Sesame Place one time with Mairead, and she was about 3.5, 4, and we were huge fans of Sesame Place, and her favorite character was Grover. Grover's a scientist character, and I'll never forget Grover like walking out of like one of these spaces, and she gets down really low, and she pulls me aside, and she goes, Dad, it's Grover 2.0. And to just have that moment forever etched in my mind of like what these magic moments do to a young person. Yeah. So for businesses out there, for entrepreneurs out there that like create these spaces, like I have such a warm place in my heart for you, because it does even help adults to spend some time in that way.
And so while I was enjoying myself in Florida, you were in Mexico.
I did. Yeah. We went to a spot just outside of Cancun, and I usually have talked about I go down to Jamaica. We decided to switch things up. Everybody down in Mexico, super friendly. We had a really, really good time. Just to get some sunshine and to try to unplug and relax is obviously so important. So you always come back sometimes with some new ideas, a little bit of a refresh, or whether you're at Disney and seeing the world a little bit differently, or for me, maybe, I didn't get to actually completely leave my computer behind. behind. I was actually working some of the time that I was there. But nonetheless, you kind of take a few things with you. And Jen, you're somebody that likes to be quite thoughtful. It is the new year. And I'm going to pose a question to you that you've often posed to me. Like, what are you bringing with you? And we talked about this last year. We don't have resolutions per se. We're not on that. Do you have some ins and outs? Do you have something maybe you're trying to focus on? Do you have a new habit? Anything that, or are you getting rid of anything? Are you letting go of something and leaving in 24?
So I'm big into themes, as you know.
Okay.
More about setting intentions than I am about setting actual, resolutions per se. But so my theme of the year is alignment.
Okay.
And really thinking about making decisions through what feels right for me and trying to calibrate what I'm saying yes to and what I'm saying no to. So I think that's something I'm both bringing in to the year of 2025, but things that I'm leaving behind are saying yes to things that maybe don't align with my values, or saying yes because I feel like I have to do something. And that's just not in a professional world. That's personal too. I want to make sure that the time I'm spending doing things matters and really, really counts. What about you? Are you coming and going with anything?
I think we're just spending too much time together because that's literally just how I feel. Oh, sorry.
I was you're leaving that behind in 24?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's out. We got to move on. No, I think same thing. Really, 24 is a galvanizing year. We spent so much time when we coach our entrepreneurs here in the center, when we work with the businesses, we spend so much time talking about make the decision based on your values. Like, what's your purpose and why do you exist? And if you say it long enough, you just have to kind of stand by it. And so for me, that's 100%. Let's go and talk about this, right? It's a new year and there's all sorts of change going on in the world around us right now.
Lots of change.
So let's talk a little bit about, you got any predictions as we come into the new year? Any trends, anything that you're looking at, whether it's industry? I know sometimes you keep an eye on the stock market.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're looking at trends that we see coming through the center. You got any predictions? Any bold predictions?
Yeah, and I think you're going to like this one. I think there's going to be a lot focused on longevity and to continue to think about how we are caring for ourselves mentally, physically, emotionally. So I do think we're going to see some startups and new businesses and existing businesses really focus on this trend in this industry of how are we living better? How are we living more healthy? And thinking about being just really intentional with how we're living our lives so that we're here for a long time.
Yeah,
right?
I like that too. And I think it actually goes back to a theme that we talked about, and we've always talked about intentionality. Maybe one of the other things is that people have more access to information. And so the startups that we're going to maybe see coming through, they're probably going to be focused a lot on like access to information and access to resources. We didn't always have that. Even when you think about healthcare system, it always felt like it was kind of behind this like gated wall. And now all of a sudden it just feels like the walls are crumbling around us and like we're having direct access, which I've always advocated for in my personal life.
People are leaving it to them their own insights and being able to make decisions based on their own information instead of thinking it's only from a professional that they can seek that.
I like that.
What about you? Any trends or anything you're predicting?
AI getting a lot of attention in the media and this conversation about DeepSeek and where are things going and who's got the best platform. One of the things I think, and maybe I'm being optimistic here, and it is the communication scientist and scholar inside of me, I always talk about rubber band snaps, like that things can only go so far until they come back. AI is great. I think that we've all seen a place for it in our lives, whatever that may be. I wonder though, and we're going to talk about this in the good idea, bad idea segment, so make sure you guys stick around because I've got a question for Jen that's going to talk about AI and the upcoming Valentine's Day season. One of the things that I think human connection is going to be something that over the next few years is going to start to feel more and more and more important. And my prediction is that experiences that bring people together, and we've talked about this in the show in the past, as AI automates our life, it should displace things. But the one thing that it's not going to displace, in my opinion, is going to be human connection. So I'm betting big on experiences that are going to bring humans together more often.
Love that. So speaking of good idea, bad idea, keeping some segments around from this season to last season, what are we doing in season 2?
Yeah, season 2 is going to bring about a couple changes. You've noticed that our banter section already is a little bit longer, and we've decided to expand some things, and we've also decided to pull some things out to create some space for conversation. So we had so much good feedback on our interviews, but actually one of the things that we got feedback on was, I wish they were a little bit longer. I wish we had an opportunity to just listen to the interview, and especially our interview guests would come in and they'd have so much more to say, and sometimes we're like, darn it, like we wish we had another spot for you. So what we've done in going into season 2 is we're pulling the interviews out of the episodes, and they're going to be standalone episodes. So our next episode, episode 11, is going to be a standalone interview with none other than Haley Seeger from One With.
I can't wait to interview Haley, and I think it's so timely for us to do that, she recently had some successes on Shark Tank, and we got to celebrate that with her as a team. And I can't wait to bring her in. I want our guests to hear her story. I know we have been in it with her from the very beginning and have seen the good, the bad, the ugly. And I don't know if you know this, but one of my favorite podcasts that I've listened to is How I Built This by Guy Raz. So this podcast actually inspired me to want to support entrepreneurs because he tells the story of people building things, but he tells it from the point in which they've been successful. And that's great because they've had a lot of time to sit back, whether they've written a book or not. They've reflected on their life. What got me to this point? What are my failures? What has come of this experience? But there's so much to learn in the moment when these entrepreneurs are going through it. And I want us to bring that to live for our guests, for our listeners to both reflect in the moment here with us, but then people can listen to that reflection point and maybe they're going through the same thing. So that's my hope and goal for the interview segment this season.
100%. We talked about this. So if you're kind of looking forward for some of the other interview guests that we're going to have on, we're really going to try to tap into our CCI alumni network a little bit more and tell some of these stories and have these interviews with some folks that come through, just so our listeners can get a better sense of who we're working with, but also to help share these stories that they might find inspirational, just like Haley's. A couple other things we want to talk about in regards to season 2. So some of the things that we're keeping, good idea, bad idea, sticking around, timely topics is sticking around, and something that we, of course, are never going to get rid of is our correspondence. We love hearing from our listeners. We want to chime in. We want to hear ideas. And over the break, we actually got a bunch of really good feedback.
Yes, we did. Do you want to kick it over to our correspondence?
Yeah, let's do that. First up was a comment from our good friend Greg Wolf on the episode of Indulgent. Greg said, excellent episode, Jen and Rory. Enjoy the holidays and quite a year for CCI. Thanks so much, Greg, for all your support throughout the year and always. Also, our friends over at Wheel Price commented on our last episode's good idea, bad idea regarding holiday work parties. Work hard, play hard was their comment.
Well, I sure hope we get invited to Wheel Price's holiday party this year. So keep that in mind for us. Patrick commented on a TikTok clip asking if we film our podcast at WHUS. And Patrick, no, please don't forget that we actually record here in the Collaboratory studio in the heart of downtown Hartford here at CCEI. So don't forget that, please.
Yep. But shout out to all our good friends, WHUS, UCTV. Used to be an advisor for them many moons ago. So what's up to all the people over at UCTV? We had a comment on YouTube on the Indulgent episode saying great conversation. So we appreciate the positive feedback. Let's keep that rolling in.
And a lot of feedback on that episode because Kathy P said, I haven't stopped indulging since the holidays got started. Great final episode of the season, Rory and Jen, and looking forward to following along again in the new year. Happy New Year, Kathy. Thank you.
We had a comment from Sharon. I listened to the episode where you guys talked about it getting darker earlier, and I couldn't possibly relate more. I felt like it was the only one struggling to keep up with the time of day. Luckily, Sharon, we are now out of the 10 darkest days of the year. We're on our way to more sunshine, and we hope this episode brings you some warmth as well. Folks, if you've got something to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up with an email, collaboratory@uconn.edu. As always, you can find us on LinkedIn, Connecticut Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, or say what's up on Instagram, TikTok for now. And of course, check us out on our YouTube channel at UConn CCI.
Guess what just happened?
No way, you're kidding me.
Hey, did you hear about...
Are you sure about that? I can't believe they... Really?
It's time for Timely Topics.
In this episode's Timely Topics, we're talking about passion. Passion is frequently considered essential for success in business and entrepreneurship, acting as a catalyst for innovation and perseverance. Advocates of passion argue that it fuels motivation, enabling individuals to tackle challenges and inspire those around them. However, is passion necessary for success? Critics suggest that while passion can enhance commitment, it cannot overshadow the importance of strategic planning, market research, and operational efficiency. So, Jen and I sit down to discuss the role that passion plays in success and seek to advance the conversation about where passion comes from, when it's most critical, and how it can help and hurt individuals in their business pursuits. Let's go. All right, Jen, so we're talking about the concept and the topic of passion. Like we always like to do on the show, we got to start by defining our terms. So for you, what does passion mean to you? How do you define it?
And I think passion means a lot of things. And I know you're saying for me personally, are you passionate about something? What does passion mean in what you do or how you think? I think passion is just a really strong belief or desire for something.
Okay. Do you feel like passion is somehow different than inspiration? Because for me, I'll say I've often had people say to me, you're really passionate. And when I get that description, I'm totally okay with it, right? But there are times when I am told that I am other things, right? And I get frustrated by it because I'm actually, no, I'm just really passionate. I'm really enthusiastic. So for me, my closest synonym for passion would be an enthusiasm for a thing, right? To be outspoken and to be excited about it. How do you differentiate your passion with maybe some of those other types of emotions?
It's funny because as you're saying that, I'm thinking about we use the word passion in place of a lot of other words that we're probably trying to describe. People call you passionate because it's how you show up. It's you're exuding an emotion and you are putting this out there and you like feel so strong. Is it in the way you're speaking, the way you're delivering, which you are passionate about communication, so maybe, or is it in you're passionate about the message or what it is you're talking about? So those are two differences, I think, in the way we articulate what passion means.
Yeah, let's talk about this from just like a kind of transition quick to a business standpoint. We'll get into our individuals a little bit more, but some of the definitions we came across are really interesting. And some of them are this idea of being passionate in your expression. However, when we went to Webster, we came across some definitions that were more about this willingness to suffer for what you love. That was one definition. Another one was making conscious decisions to give up other enjoyable activities to focus attention on the most important activities. I think when you think about passion, maybe from a business standpoint, people being passionate, but to me, that's drive, right? Or that kind of comes closer to that commitment. And for me, passion is an emotion. It's enthusiasm. And I think about it very much operationalized on an individual level. And we're going to talk about this like from an entrepreneurial standpoint. What is the role that passion plays when you go to launch, to start, and then how do you use it to sustain as you grow?
So this might be a little controversial in our discussion here, but I do think that passion can come and go. I think today I can feel really passionate about something that I had for breakfast or feel really passionate about an experience I had on the car ride in. But I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to feel that same passion for that thing. So that makes me think or question to you, is passion something that it's like a deep-rooted feeling for something that we truly believe? Or is it something that ebbs and flows as we go on through our lives?
When we think about this from a psychology standpoint, we talk about states and traits. I think I've often probably thought about passion as a trait because of the way that I have passion for communication, and therefore it is your one and only expression of all of the things inside of you. And people will say to me, are you just enthusiastic about everything? No, probably actually enthusiastic about expression, right? Don't care about a number of things. You're talking about it really truly in that like emotional, that state place where like right now I'm passionate. So I have to ask you, right? Like what's something that you're super passionate about right now?
Oh my goodness, so many things. Right now, reading.
Okay.
I've been getting really into a lot of different types of books and taking me back to different places.
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, right? So you're passionate about books.
Yeah.
Okay, so like let's go down this path for a second. So you're super passionate about books right now. Do you think that that is an indicator of something that you should follow? Do you think it's an indicator of your values? Do you think that as individuals out there that share your definition, who have these ebbs and flows in passion, what should you take away? What should you pay attention to? So for our entrepreneurs listening out there, for our business managers and leaders, like when you get into something, as you do, what do you take away from that? Like what's your learned lesson, if you will?
Yeah, so we just talked a little while ago about alignment is my word for this year.
Okay.
And I'm trying to be more aligned in the things that I do and what I'm spending my energy doing. And I do feel passionate about diving into stories, both reading fiction and nonfiction. I spend a lot of my time reading leadership books and business books, but I've also been trying to read more on just stories, learning about people. So right now, that's my passion because it aligns with what I need in this moment. This is what my body's telling me to help me unwind and disconnect from the day. It's the winter, it's cold, it's dark. I don't love watching TV. I know you don't either. So a book is a good way to connect me into a story and sort of take me away and allow me to disconnect. Do I feel like in June that's going to be my passion when I'm actually like, I want to get outside, I want to walk, I want to be with the dogs, I want to do active things? Maybe I'll put that passion to the side for a little bit and move on and do something different. I don't know if that answers your questions, but for me, it's like the ebbs and the flows. And what I do want to say that's really important, we talk about values all the time and how important it is for entrepreneurs, for anyone to understand what you value in this world and make sure the values align with what you are actually doing. I think sometimes we get our values confused with what we're passionate about. And I think when you say to somebody, what are you passionate about? They have to think about, like, they go deep. You're like, what is the thing that I'm going to be passionate about forever? What is the core of who I am? That to me is your value. And what you are passionate about right now can be surface level. It can be something that doesn't matter in 2 weeks, in a year. It can change.
Yeah.
I don't know how you've navigated that or what your thoughts are.
Well, for me, I've had an opportunity to kind of see it up close and personal, going into organizations, whether it's executive coaching or sometimes going in and trying to do some training development sessions. One of the things that often is the goal for an organization or a leader is they'll come in and they want inspiration for their people. They want them to feel passionate. And we're going to talk about this, and I want to raise this question, right? Like, as a company grows, how do you maintain the founder's passion, especially for companies that have been around 30, 40, 50, 100 years, and you come in as an entry-level employee, you're telling me I need to share the same level of passion that the founder did. So more on that in a second, but you asked an individual question. And one of the things I wanted to address today for our listeners is that I've seen is that folks that I'll encounter sometimes will say, what are you passionate about? And they take that big, long, deep breath and a big pause. And you see them go, I'm not sure. And I've said this to you, Jen, they're actually really difficult to coach because I want to lean into your passion, right? So you're into books, great. Let's go find a book that takes you closer to your value, right? You're in TV shows, we're going to do the same. Let's find role models. You're passionate about something. I'm going to go and use that to my advantage as a coach. When folks say, I don't know what I'm passionate about, for me, usually through some discovery, I tend to find they're spending a lot of time comparing themselves to others around them. And they're seeing other people in their life be really passionate about this thing. And they're recognizing, well, I don't have the same passion that this person does. And for me, I think that passion is 100% individualistic, right? And that you have to own it. And maybe one of the pieces of advice that I'm actually extracting from you is a comfort and a confidence that when you find your thing that you're passionate about, being true and owning it and being completely comfortable. And that can be really hard because when everybody else around you is into something, right? When your friendship groups change and they're really into sports or they're really into television shows and you go out and you're in the social circles, you're going, geez, I don't really have any passion for this. It makes you uncomfortable. And sometimes you then go and you want to change your behaviors. And I would say to our listeners out there, right, if you find yourself kind of figuring out what your passion is, like listen to yourself and just be totally comfortable with that. Because you know what you'll do? You'll probably end up drawing people into your life that are also passionate about that thing.
Yeah. I've actually received some good advice of trying something for a month. Become passionate. Literally decide on day one, I'm going to be passionate about consuming more protein to be a healthier individual. Like, and a lot of people are doing that. Month of January, month of February, we're really thinking about that, right? What if I'm passionate about this for this month? And to me, passion, you align passion with commitment. If you're going to set goals, there has to be some passion. There has to be a drive, and the passion has to align with your values and what you want to, the outcomes that you want to achieve. There's so many things that are connected in that place. But really what it comes down to is, can you inspire yourself to do that for a month and see what sticks? Do you need to love it the next month? No, you tried it.
So let's talk about this for a second, though, Jen, right? Okay, so we've kind of gone down the path of individual passion, and hopefully it's connected with you. We work with entrepreneurs. We work with early stage entrepreneurs in a lot of cases, right? Who are actually trying to figure out whether or not they're actually passionate about the thing. One of my biggest indicators of success is if I spend 6, 8, 10 weeks with you over the summer and I'm walking out of sessions and I feel like I'm more passionate about your topic than you are, there's a piece of me that wants to go, hey.
Which sometimes that happens for you.
This probably isn't the thing, right? This probably isn't the thing. But let me ask that question to you. Do you think that passion is critical, is necessary, is a prerequisite for an early stage company to be successful, that founder or that set of founders, they must be passionate about the topic? Or what if they just have a great technical skill or a great idea? Is that enough to supplant the lack of passion? Where do you fall on that?
Because we see a lot of the difficulty in getting a business up and running, an entrepreneur and a lot of the ones we work with are forfeiting a salary, benefits, the things that are going to make their lives outside of work more comfortable. There has to be something that drives beyond just a core value or beyond just this idea.
Or a skill, maybe.
Yeah. I really think that there is a passion to solve, and this is an idealistic world, passion to solve the problem that they know that exists.
I love that.
And they become so consumed with that passion that they will do anything to drive that forward.
I love that. So actually, let's just drop some examples right now, right? So number one, we talked about Haley earlier. One of the things that Haley's very early stage pitches, which you'll hear about in the next episode, she literally was passionate about solving this swimwear issue. And it became actually the cornerstone of her pitch. So much so that it landed her the ultimate comment on Shark Tank to say, like, this is the best pitch that we ever had. And you want to know what? Because she was genuinely passionate from day one about solving this. You have examples, Sweetgreen, for people out there like Sweetgreen, like 3 college students who were really passionate about like fast, healthy food. And one of the things is like they've continued to find relative success. And we could go down on some of these other examples where we've seen companies, right, actually being really passionate about solving a problem. let's go in this direction for a second, Jen, right? So you're passionate about solving a problem and you find some success and you grow and you make some sales. Well, you're going to have to hire some people. You got to bring some people in. You need to, somebody's got to fill the boxes, right? Somebody's got to make the product. What's the responsibility of the founder to have their people be passionate about the thing that they're doing? And I suppose what I'm asking in another way is like, can you be successful if you're in a job right now and you're listening and you're carrying out your job? Must you be passionate to be successful to get ahead in that job or to move forward, to feel like you're moving in the right direction?
I have so many thoughts, and so many of these are personal to myself because I believe I have to be passionate about what I'm doing. But can I just say, for everybody that's listening, that's saying, I don't know that I feel passionate about my job. I don't know that I wake up and I'm skipping and there's rainbows and unicorns going around me as I'm going into the office for the day.
Because that's passion.
Right. Like I'm just trying to, what I think people think passion looks like.
Sure.
Because that doesn't happen for me every Monday morning when I wake up, but I still am passionate about what I'm doing. Long story short, to say that I believe that if in this world, in this life that you're living, the short time you have on this earth, if you want to live a good life, a happy, a healthy, a fulfilling life, passion can be found in all facets around you. A lot of times we put onus on work as the place that's going to do that for us. And I don't know if it's culturally, people telling us, you got to go out, you got to start a business. Like, we can't all be entrepreneurs. We can't all start these things that are going to change the world and make us super passionate. So there has to be a shift, I think, in our language that we use around passion, because if you are passionate about traveling the world with your family, you just love to go, you love taking pictures, you love just going and experiencing different cultures, you probably need a job that is going to, unless you're independently wealthy, congratulations.
And we're looking for a sponsor.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then fine, but you need a job that's going to fulfill that. So there is a fulfillment through work to fill and fuel your passion. But I believe, for me personally, what I'm doing in that work has to fulfill me in some regard too. But it is not the only thing. It cannot be the only thing for me. I need to have those other pieces.
I'll tell you what I think. I think I agree with you, but I maybe disagree slightly in the sense that we spend so much time at work, right? You know, you're either at work or you're sleeping. And then, you know, for those of us that are maybe having families, or you're thinking about where you're spending your time, if your passion's in family or travel or sports or hobbies, it's such a fraction of what you do that I've always said that if you're not, and I'm going to use the word enthusiastic, and this is my thing, and it's the thing I care about. If you're not enthusiastic about the thing that you're doing, I question if you should be doing it. And a lot of people would disagree with that. I've had great conversations with somebody, right? They say, why do I need to be enthusiastic about the thing that is providing a means to my end? And my end is to travel and to engage my hobby. But for me personally, where I derive my most joy, and it's like I have this theory of energy, that the energy you put out, if you get it back, it actually doesn't burn energy. Sometimes it can create more energy. So I love to be surrounded by enthusiasm and passion, probably because it's the way I operate. And I would say that for me, without it, I would want you to go and pursue something else. And we've had this happen. I've sat with organizations and I've talked about values and purpose at the organization. And I've gone around the room and say, does everybody relate to this? Are you into this? Do you agree with this? Do you align with this? And if the answer is no, now might be a good point to go home this evening and have a really serious conversation with yourself about whether or not this is the best use of your time. And I love nothing more than seeing those heads kind of nod and a few people go, you know what? This is the right time for me to maybe reconsider how I'm investing my time, because life's short, right? And you don't get a second shot at it.
So what if you are really passionate about what you're doing for a job, but it doesn't give you the flexibility you need to pick your kids up after school and you want to go to a sports, outing or something, or it doesn't pay you enough to go travel and do the things that you're...
Yeah.
What's the line there between the passion and the life, the rest of it?
Heck of a question, and a good spot for our listeners to jump in that might have found some solution. One of the questions that we had on here that we were going to talk a little about, Jen, is what takes away passion and that burnout piece. And bringing this back, obviously being a business show, is how do you keep your people passionate? How do you maintain your passion? And what are the things that can burn you out? There's a great book, Patrick Lencioni's 6 Types of Working Genius. And Lencioni talks about not necessarily passion, but he says, like, you need to use your genius to maintain your enthusiasm or commitment to a role, but also talks about frustrations. And I think that at this stage, Jen, and we talk, it's actually kind of in our notes, where like, you're going to have to weigh things up, and you're probably going to need to spend some time triaging what are the values and what are most important. And if your passion for your for your job, for your role, the thing that, you know, provides your vocation, if it outweighs that ability to pick up your children or to do those things, then you just have to be true to it, right? And say, like, this is the sacrifice I'm willing to make. Go back to the definition. And maybe the definition from Webster was actually closer than we thought it was to begin with. It is maybe making sacrifices, right? It is making those choices as to what is most important.
So just one note quickly to our founders that are listening or starting to hire members of their team and they're thinking about building a culture. We talk about culture all the time in organizations. It is easy early on to bring people in on the vision, on the passion behind what you're building. Once you add in your HR person or your admin team or those that are maybe 1 or 2 steps removed from the passion line, they're not in the front lines with their customers. You're not going out and selling the product, but you're helping others to do that, finding people that feel passionate about doing the job and get fulfilled from those elements. It doesn't have to be the passion of the problem you're solving, but they just are really good at what they're doing. And you have to find out from them. I would ask them, what are you passionate about? Have that conversation and sign up for a workshop with Rory, right? Sure. Like no, but seriously, sit down with your team and figure out what each person's personal passions are. And make sure it's important to say it is okay to have passions that are not here at work. What are you driven by?
Yeah.
And try to support those individual drives. And I think you'll have a much better chance at having an organization that's going to flourish.
I love that. I want to share one more example, and you know, then we'll bring it home to our listeners. I interviewed one time many years ago at ESPN. Everybody would know ESPN. You actually never got to the questions about the job until the 3rd interview, right? It was a higher level job. I had to pass a quiz on sports day 1. Called me up out of the blue, right? 15 minutes. And they hit me up with 10 questions. Like, who was last year's Heisman Trophy winner, right? Who has the most Olympic gold medal in swimming? And
I would fail that.
I passed. I think you had to hit 8 out of 10. I hit 8 out of 10. Got to the next round. The next round, same thing again. Another passion check on sports. It was the 3rd interview where we actually started talking about the job. And I thought to myself, well, I'm actually passionate at the time about like social psychology and research and doing studies in the area. And it was really interesting. So for our listeners, let's bring it home here for a second. You might need to ask yourself if you're a founder or you're a business leader. And maybe at the top, at the leadership's level, you got to figure out, do you have to have passion for the context of this industry and business? And it's actually okay. If you're the founder, you get to choose yes or no. Or do I need you to be passionate about the thing that you do? So we're running a large organization and you're passionate about accounting, right? Okay, I don't need you to necessarily be passionate about the context of the industry, but boy, you better love accounting, right, at a high level, because that's going to be successful. So let us know, right? Let us know, like, where do you fall in passion? How important it is for you? How have you overcome situations where you haven't been passionate? And your organization, do you think you have to be passionate for the thing, the solution that you're providing? Or is it just the job or the task that you're following through on?
Good idea?
Bad idea. All right, Jen, this month's Good Idea, Bad Idea segment has Valentine's Day set up right around the corner. So at the time of recording, it's a couple weeks away. And by the time our listeners get to this, it'll be a week past. I know you're a big Valentine's Day person, so this is perfect for you. But right now, also hot in the streets is the conversation about AI. AI's everywhere. I thought, let's bring the two worlds together and let's talk about a good idea, bad idea. Okay. So AI has found its way into, of course, everything, including dating apps. And so we are starting to see AI being used to help with matchmaking algorithms. It is part of the chatbot. There are virtual assistants that are actually helping people to write their profiles. They're giving feedback on profile pictures, what's going to work better, what's going to work worse. There's even some AI behavior prediction in the matchmaking process. It's also being used for some safety features, which might be a good thing. So here's my question. The use of AI in general in dating apps, good idea or bad idea?
I think that AI is going to show up in everything and anything. So this does not surprise me as this being something that we actually need to talk about. I do like some of the features that you listed off. I don't know that I feel overly convinced either way. I can see from a user perspective, and you asked about like from a business perspective, but from a user, I don't know how authentic it is for the users to go in and not really know, like, does an algorithm create this? Is this a real person? I know that's something we are worried about on other social media platforms. Is this picture a real person? But I certainly think to help create a better flowing about section or a bio or something that's more true to who you are. You're just not a good writer. Sure, use AI, but I'm not convinced of the other features. But like I said, I really think it's used in everything.
Yeah.
So I think businesses are gonna keep leaning into that.
Yeah.
Do you have an opinion about this?
I do, and I kind of want to be a little maybe controversial in the sense of being like saying, look, if people are going on a dating app and they're hoping to find quality partners, and if theoretically the AI helps to bring people together that might make a good match, I don't see the problem with it. Now, there's a lot of question about like, is it disingenuous, right? Who's writing the profile? Is that really a picture? Well, at this stage, right, a lot of the things that we experience have been manipulated and altered. And so if that's part of our life and that's part of the experience, and I think it is, I think the most important part is that it's mentioned, that it's credited, that it has, maybe there's a section on the profile, there's a section on the picture that says this profile has been enhanced by AI, this picture has been enhanced by AI, and it's representative, then you kind of know what you're getting into. And so I probably look at it like that I'm somebody that typically doesn't try to fight technology and kind of embrace it and just say like, well, it's going to be there. And I think that's a little bit of what you're saying. There's a lot of controversy about it because people are saying, yeah, but this is disingenuous. And then I kind of call the question like, well, what is genuine, right, at this stage with the introduction of AI in so many spaces? So real quick, good idea or bad idea, Jen? I don't think we've actually gotten an answer from you on any of the segments. And so the only thing I'm not surprised by is we didn't get one here. But do you want to give us one, generally speaking, good idea or bad idea?
I think it's a good idea. Let's just go with that.
We got an answer from Jen. Season 2 off to a great start. Let us know your idea. And if you're using dating apps and you have been influenced by AI, share your story if you'd wish. All right, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. That's our show. Please be sure to share with a friend or drop us a line if you have an idea for a future episode, topic, or guest.
And don't forget, we produce our show right here in the Collaboratory studio at CCEI in the heart of downtown Hartford.
So until next time, wishing you all good luck in all of your endeavors.